All right, so we're diving into the overview effect today. We've got Frank Light's book, The Overview Effect, Why Seeing Earth from Space Changes Everything. Plus some other interesting stuff on the topic, too. It's pretty amazing how astronauts who've seen Earth from space, from way up there, they often come back like totally changed people.
Yeah, it really is something, isn't it? It seems like it's not just about the amazing views. It's like a totally different way of thinking about things, Like a mental and emotional shift. It almost makes you rethink like who we even are and where we fit in the grand scheme of things.
Right, like something just clicks for them up there when they see Earth.
Yeah.
Just hang in there, this little blue sphere
Yeah.
against, just infinite blackness.
It is a pretty powerful thing to see, that's for sure. And, one of the first things that hits them is how fragile Earth actually is. Like astronaut Ron Garan described it. He said, it's a sobering contradiction. The Earth looks robust, but its thin atmosphere makes it clear how vulnerable it really is. So just imagine that, right? Seeing the whole world surrounded by this super thin layer of air, this tiny little shield protecting everything.
I mean, that really puts things in perspective. Like all of a sudden, things like climate change, they're not just some abstract idea anymore.
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff we read about down here, pollution, deforestation, the oceans rising. When you see it from up there, it's just, it's impossible to ignore. It's a wake-up call, for sure. Reminding us we're all connected, sharing this one little planet.
And Earth can only handle so much, right?
Exactly.
It's crazy how that one photo, Earthrise, the one taken by Apollo 8 astronauts, it captured all of this so perfectly.
I know, right?
It was the very first time we saw our planet as a whole.
A tiny little oasis.
Floating in this massive empty space.
In that one picture, that really got the whole environmental movement going, I think.
It did, didn't it?
Made people feel like we all have to protect this place.
It's like suddenly borders just disappear. From orbit, you don't see any lines on a map. It's just this one big interconnected world.
Exactly. That leads us to another fascinating thing about the overview effect, this idea of planetary consciousness. Astronauts, they often describe a shift from me to we. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Suddenly they realize we're all connected, not just humans, but everything, the whole planet.
So how does this planetary consciousness actually work? Does it lead to people taking action when they get back to Earth?
Well, a lot of astronauts, they become really passionate about, protecting the environment, working together globally, even space exploration. They see it all as connected, part of our future as humans.
That's pretty incredible. Seeing Earth from space doesn't just change how they see things. It makes them feel more responsible, too.
Yeah, I think so. And this connection they feel, it's not just philosophical, It's backed up by actual science. Think about how dust from the Sahara Desert gets carried all the way across the Atlantic. And it ends up fertilizing the Amazon rainforest.
Wow, I never thought about that.
Or how those rainforests, thousands of miles away, they actually affect weather patterns that impact our cities.
It's crazy to think that what we do over here can affect things way over there.
Exactly. But, the overview effect also raises some complicated questions. If this shift in thinking is so powerful, why don't we all feel that way? What is it about seeing Earth from space that changes people so much?
That's a great point. I wonder if something happens in their brains, something beyond just what they're seeing.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. That's where this whole idea of the neuroscience of awe comes in. Researchers think the overview effect might be tied to how our brains process that overwhelming feeling of seeing Earth from space.
Okay.
That feeling of awe. It can actually trigger changes in how our brains work, especially the parts that deal with self-awareness and feeling connected to something bigger than ourselves.
Wow. So it's not just about what astronauts see, but how their brains make sense of it.
Exactly. Imagine you're floating up there in space, looking back at Earth. The world suddenly looks like this tiny, fragile ball just hanging out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's a pretty jarring contrast, right? It kind of messes with your everyday idea of how big things are and what's real.
It's like your brain is trying to figure out how to make sense of this new view of the world.
Right.
While still holding on to what you thought you knew before.
Exactly. And as your brain struggles with that, something amazing happens. Your default mode network, the part of your brain that lights up when you think about yourself and your place in the world, it kicks into overdrive.
Okay, so the default mode network.
Think of it like the part of your brain that helps you understand where you fit in. It's what's going on when you daydream or think about the past or imagine the future.
So it's like the overview effect turbocharges that part of the brain.
Exactly. And as that part of your brain tries to wrap its head around seeing Earth from space, Well, your sense of self starts to change. It's not just about you as an individual anymore. It expands to include all of humanity, the whole planet, even the cosmos.
Wow, that's incredible. So this shift in thinking, it doesn't just disappear when astronauts come back to Earth.
No, it doesn't. It sticks around and it affects their choices, their actions. It's why so many of them become passionate about things that help everyone, whether it's taking care of the environment, working towards world peace, or even just pushing the boundaries of science.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like a seed that's planted up there in space.
I like that.
And it continues to grow even after they've landed back home.
Exactly. And it's not just astronauts who can experience this shift in how they see the world. At its heart, the overview effect is about changing your consciousness. It's a way of seeing things that goes beyond just being in space. It's understanding that we're all connected, sharing this one little planet, and that what we do has consequences that reach far beyond ourselves.
This is all pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
You can really start to see how profound the overview effect is. But we're just getting started. There's so much more to explore about this whole phenomenon.
Oh, yeah.
And not just for the astronauts who've been to space, but for all of us down here on Earth, too.
Absolutely. There's still so much to unpack here, like how the overview effect could inspire solutions to global problems, how it could make people feel more like citizens of the world, and how it sparks our imagination about what humanity could achieve out there in the stars.
Yeah, the possibilities are pretty incredible. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's dig a little deeper into how the overview effect actually shows up in the lives of astronauts, and how it's changing our understanding of where we fit into all of this, the whole universe, this whole awe thing.
Yeah.
It really makes you realize how lucky we are to have Earth. Like we hit the cosmic jackpot or something. I see this cosmic jackpot idea a lot in the stuff you sent over.
It's true, though, when you really think about it. All the things that have to be just right for life to exist. Being the right distance from the sun, the habitable zone, having a magnetic field to protect us from all that radiation, the moon stabilizing our planet's spin, liquid water, the atmosphere, it's pretty rare to find all that together in the universe.
Yeah.
Super rare.
But even with all that luck, the overview effect also shows us how fragile Earth is. Kind of weird combo, right?
It is, yeah.
This amazing planet that supports all this life, but it also looks so delicate when you see it from space.
Exactly. And astronauts have talked about seeing the effects of humans down there, like deforestation, the ice caps melting, pollution. You can actually see it from orbit.
Really?
It's a stark reminder of those planetary boundaries we've been talking about.
Like how much Earth can actually handle.
Yeah.
It suddenly becomes way more real when you see it, huh?
It does. Like suddenly it hits you. Earth is like a spaceship.
Oh, yeah.
A spaceship with limited resources and life support systems, and we have to keep those systems running.
So it's not about some endless frontier anymore. It's more like we're all crewmates on this ship.
Exactly. And we're all responsible for making sure it stays healthy.
It means working together, right?
Exactly. We have to think about how our actions affect everyone else.
Like how all those space agencies from different countries work together.
Yeah. Great example.
They show us it's possible to collaborate, even with all the political stuff happening down here.
I mean, look at the International Space Station. People from all over the world built that thing together.
Totally.
It's proof that we can work together. And the problems we're facing down here on Earth, climate change, running out of resources, inequality, that stuff needs that same level of global teamwork.
What's really interesting is how the overview effect seems to spread. It's not just the astronauts who feel it. Those photos, Earthrise, the blue marble, they've touched so many people.
I know, right?
And it's made people more aware of the environment and how connected everything is.
It's crazy how those pictures, they gave people a taste of what it's like to see Earth from space. Even though most of us will never actually go up there. And even today, with all the new technology, there are more and more ways to experience that view. We have real-time satellite images of Earth. And virtual reality can simulate what it's like to be up there looking down.
It makes you wonder, what if every world leader, everyone making decisions, what if they all got to experience the overview effect? Would it change how they deal with global problems?
Oh, that's a great question. Just imagine if all the arguments and debates weren't about individual countries, but about the fact that we're all sharing one planet.
That would be pretty wild.
Yeah.
But thinking beyond politics and stuff, the overview effect also has some really practical lessons for, everyday life, right?
Absolutely. It's not just about big ideas and space travel. It's about finding ways to bring that way of thinking down to Earth.
Astronauts always say even simple things like drinking a glass of water, feeling the sun on your skin, It all feels different after you've seen Earth from space.
It does, yeah.
Like you appreciate it more.
It's all about being grateful for the things we usually take for granted, right? The air we breathe, the food we eat, the whole amazing web of life that keeps us going.
So it's about changing how we see things, even if we never go to space. Choosing to look at the world with fresh eyes.
Exactly.
Appreciating how connected everything is.
Yeah.
And how amazing life itself is right here, right now.
Yeah, exactly. And there's another big lesson here. Thinking bigger. Not just about ourselves, but about humanity's future. The overview effect reminds us that Earth isn't just our home, it's our launching pad.
You mean our starting point for exploring space?
Yeah.
Pushing the limits of what's possible.
Exactly. And to do that, we have to take care of our planet, we have to develop new technologies that are sustainable, and we have to work together, be creative, innovative.
So in a way, all the skills and knowledge we need to become a spacefaring civilization are the same things we need to solve the problems we have down here on Earth.
Yeah, it all ties together, doesn't it? Caring for our planet is part of our journey to the stars. But beyond all the practical lessons, the overview effect also touches something deeper within us, I think. That longing to connect with something bigger than ourselves, to feel like we belong.
Like all those astronauts who talk about feeling a sense of unity, not just with humanity, but with the whole universe.
It's a powerful experience for sure, one that goes beyond culture, politics, even religion. It's about realizing that we're all part of something much bigger and more mysterious than we can fully grasp.
It's mind-blowing, really, but it's also something we can all tap into, even without going to space, just by looking up at the stars, thinking about our place in this vast universe.
Exactly. We can all get a glimpse of that cosmic perspective.
And that glimpse can change everything. It's like that feeling of awe connects us to something bigger,
Yeah.
Even if we haven't been to space ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you suddenly realize we're all connected. Like astronaut Edgar Mitchell said, he walked on the moon during Apollo 14. He said, you develop an instant global consciousness, a people orientation, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world, and a compulsion to do something about it.
Wow. Hearing that from someone who's actually seen Earth from space
Yeah.
is pretty powerful stuff.
It really is. And he's not the only one. A lot of astronauts say the same thing. When you see our planet as this one whole thing, it breaks down that feeling of separation we have down here.
Yeah, up there, it's like all the political and cultural differences just melt away.
Exactly.
It really shows how much we have in common.
At the end of the day, we're all Earthlings, sharing this crazy ride together.
That's a good way to put it.
And the overview effect, it reminds us of that. Makes us think about how we treat each other and how we treat our planet.
So for those of us who will probably never get to go to space, what can we learn from all of this? How can we, get that planetary consciousness down here?
That's the big question, isn't it? Well, one way is to just pay more attention to how connected everything really is. Remember those examples we talked about? How things happening in one part of the world can affect places far away? That's proof that we're all linked together.
Right.
So we can try to stay informed about global issues. And think about how our actions, even little ones, they can have a ripple effect across the planet.
Like think globally, act locally.
Exactly. Even simple stuff like, reducing our carbon footprint, saving water, supporting businesses that are sustainable. That all helps.
Yeah.
And just as important, we can try to understand and care about people from all over the world, realizing that we're all part of the same human family.
So the overview effect, it's not just about feeling awestruck. It's also a call to action.
I like that, yeah.
It's about living more consciously, making choices that matter.
Exactly. It's about understanding that we're not just along for the ride. We're all part of the crew here. We're responsible for steering spaceship Earth towards a good future.
And that responsibility, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's a chance to build a world that reflects all the beauty and interconnectedness we see from space.
You got it. The overview effect is about hope, ultimately. It reminds us that we have the power to make things better, to create a world that works for everyone, a world that respects all life on our planet, and a world that's ready to explore the cosmos.
That's a pretty amazing vision.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if we can really grasp the power of the overview effect. What incredible things could we achieve? What kind of future could we build for ourselves and everyone who comes after us?
The possibilities are limitless. It's up to all of us to take that perspective, to let it guide our actions, and to inspire others to do the same. Who knows? Maybe someday experiencing the overview effect will be normal, like traveling to a different country, and that could change everything.
That would be incredible. Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into the overview effect, I want to leave you with this. Imagine yourself looking down at Earth from space. seeing its beauty, all the systems working together, that delicate balance. Take that feeling with you. Let it guide your choices. Let it fuel your passions. And let it inspire you to make a difference in the world.
Well said. And remember, we're all in this together. We're crewmates on this amazing spaceship called Earth. And we're on an incredible journey through the universe. So let's make it count.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the overview effect. We hope you've discovered a new appreciation for the power of perspective and how important it is to be good stewards of our planet. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep looking up.